I got silicone implants November of 2022, and this is how I feel about the whole experience, kind of what I wish I knew beforehand, and some details on the tatas. I vlogged the whole entire experience of going through from consult to surgery to recovery, all of it. Feel free to watch that, but today I want to talk about what I wish I knew about choosing sizes before I actually got them put inside of my body. So I feel like the biggest thing, if you've already gone through a consult, you've watched other videos, a lot of times it's choosing the cc's, which basically chooses how big they are, how much liquid is inside of them. I went over that a lot with my surgeon, but one of the things I didn't go over a lot, and I feel like a lot of times you don't, is what profile. Because I feel like there's this assumption that a lot of people want the natural look, and I even thought myself, oh yes, I want more natural looking boobs, until I dived deeper in with myself and realized that no, I kind of wanted that fake tata look. I was getting implants because I wanted that intense, whoa, tatas look that I feel like I didn't get, and I think I would have gotten a little bit more if I chose high profile. So I definitely wanted under the muscle because it's a safer option in most cases. It's safer to go under the muscle than it is over, but I still wish I went with high profile instead of medium profile. So medium profile makes them look a little bit more natural and there's not as much up here, whereas high profile is going to give you more that defined upper definition, which I wish I did. I went with medium profile because that's just what my surgeon recommended, but we didn't really discuss the ideas of the pros and cons of it, and I wish I went with high profile. I wish I talked about it more. I wish I realized within myself that I wanted that fake tata look and that maybe the high profile would give me that look I wanted, but now they're already in my body and I can't really go back and be like, can you make them high profile now? You can't really do that. So, but that point aside, it's something that you could discuss with your surgeon ahead of time in your consult, whether you want that high profile, medium profile, low profile, if you want a different shape, like a teardrop shape that can be more natural looking. So I definitely say discuss more of that than you think you need to, so you can really come to an understanding on what you want the end result to look like. And then also when it comes to sizing of the implants, I had this assumption that no way in heck would I want to go to the maximum size, right? I don't want giant, huge tatas that get in the way. Like, I didn't want that. I didn't realize though, until I was in the consult, that I couldn't even get that if I wanted to. So the maximum is based on your own anatomy of your body and the pocket size. So the implants aren't as big as you think they can be. There are maximums. So when he saw my body, he was thinking he could go from 300 to 350 cc's, and I actually definitely wanted that maximum end. I went in saying like, no, I don't want the maximum, don't go to the maximum. Turns out I do want the maximum because the maximum is nowhere near as big as I thought it was. They ended up fitting 325 cc's on both sides because I was pretty similar in size. They were slightly off, but not enough to warrant a bigger implant size. So I got 325 on each side, and I probably couldn't have gone really much to any bigger. Some surgeons maybe would have put a little bit more inside of me, but most likely kind of like I was at the maximum end of things. So think about that ahead of time, is that you will have a maximum based on your body, and you might want to go bigger than that and you won't be able to, or maybe you don't want to go near that maximum. But either way, it's something to consider that I hadn't read online. I just hadn't read the idea that maximums were so much smaller than I thought they were. I guess I was more petite than I expected I was. And then also another thing I didn't consider about my own anatomy, but I was warned about it before I went into surgery, and I'm so glad I was. But again, I feel like no one talks about it, is the idea of your own anatomy and where your implants are going to sit no matter the profile you get. We're talking about sitting this direction, not this direction, because you have more control about this. Like, you can go higher profile, medium profile, low profile. You can change the shape a little bit and have more definition at the bottom. But the one thing you don't have control over is where they're going to sit like this. And that's based on your own anatomy. They want the implants to sit in the middle, so your nipple is in the middle of the implants. And in addition to that, they also cannot go too far to the center. And it's based on your own body. I forgot if it's a muscle or a bone, but either way, right here, that center section controls how far your implants can go in. And you can go ahead and watch the consult video where my doctor explains why he couldn't go in further, but unfortunately that is the case. And so when it comes to how far they can go together, I saw a photo the other day on Snapchat, and I feel like it's a perfect example of what I mean by this and how it can look different. And it's someone I used to follow, the Ace family, the mom in that family. She showed a photo next to her friend, and both of them definitely have implants. So the photo, if you see her on the right, She looks like the cleavage I wanted, the look I was going for, that like close together boob look like this, whereas her friend is that more separated look like I have. Now her friend, I'm guessing, probably has higher profile and larger implants than I do, but it still gives that idea of how that gapping can happen, where it's like, it feels like there's a cave between your boobs, and unfortunately, no matter how much money you spend, you cannot bring them closer together to create the look that the other girl has, because your anatomy makes a difference and how your implants are gonna look. And I am so sorry to tell you this if you're one of the people like me that are further apart and don't want to be further apart. And it's not something I would have really known unless my surgeon told me that when I asked. So the reason why it was brought up was because he was talking about the idea of what things are important to me, and I said cleavage. Cleavage is so important to me, and I was like, I don't want that look where they're kind of further apart and you don't have that cleavage. And he's like, unfortunately, that's based on your anatomy. And he showed me, he actually could show me, he could feel where the implants were gonna be. So he put a fake implant on top, and he's like, this is where it's gonna lay because of your nipple and because of that mess in the middle, whatever you wanna call it. So he showed it to me, and he showed me how much gapping there was gonna be. So I knew before I went under the knife that my boobs were gonna be further apart than I wanted them to be, and I still chose to do it. But if I hadn't had that conversation before I went underneath the knife, I think I would have been disappointed and kind of felt like I wasted my money, because I would have been like, oh my god, like they're so far apart, this wasn't worth the money. But since I knew it ahead of time, it was a decision instead of an unexpected result, if that makes any sense. So I definitely say, if you are considering getting implants, discuss with your surgeon how your anatomy is going to affect how your implants are going to look. How is your cleavage going to be placed? And I'm guessing there's other things, but that's the biggest thing I noticed because my own body has that separation. My boobs are further to the side. And in my do I regret this video, I showed in more detail, like I just covered my nipples and showed you guys all the details of different things. So if you want to watch that, go ahead, but that's not what today is about. But the next thing I want to discuss, which I put everything on sticky notes so I wouldn't forget anything, is the idea of body dysmorphia. I had never experienced that before. I don't know if you've personally experienced it before. I had an old roommate who had hella body dysmorphia. She is so skinny, so gorgeous, but she thinks she is the opposite. She always thinks she's a lot bigger than she is, even though she is literally tiny, and I never expected to feel that way about myself, but I did after I got my boobs done. It felt like I hadn't. And I'm still slowly getting used to the idea that yes, I have boobs, I can do this, I could never do that before. Like, yes, they're not exactly perfect and I probably want them bigger than they are, but they're not as small as I think they are. Yes, they're further apart than I would like them to be, but they're not tiny like they were before, if that makes any sense. So I will still like feel like I don't have boobs at all. I'll still try something on, but yeah. But then there'll be moments where I'll be wearing the right top or catch at the right angle, but wait, I do have boobs. Like, look at my tatas. Like, look at the girlies right here. Like, I could never do that before. Like, yes, I'm pushing them together with my arms, but still, like I could not do that before. So like, I have to remind myself that it is the body dysmorphia talking when I'm thinking they're tiny and non-existent, okay? Like, it is in my head. And that's why I'm glad I don't have like an insane amount of disposable income, because I can actually understand now why people get addicted to plastic surgery and they keep going bigger and bigger and bigger on stuff. Because in their head, they're still as small as they started. Even though they probably look crazy and went a little too far, it's like in their head, they're still that size they started with. So I'm glad I don't have that disposable income, because I think I would just keep going bigger and bigger and bigger and be making those decisions too quickly. Like, yes, at some point I probably do want to get bigger implant sizes, but I think that since I don't have as much disposable income, I can take that time to make more of a rational decision about it and understand like where I really am size-wise. So just keep that in mind afterwards. If you're doing this to feel insanely better about yourself and you think it's gonna be the solve all, obviously don't do it for that reason. This is a big decision. You have to put a lot of time and thought into it, and I did. So I'm glad, because if I didn't, I think this body dysmorphia would be a lot more painful than it is, because I would have felt more like, I shouldn't have done it, I shouldn't have spent the money, or I need to spend more money, and I don't feel like that. Yes, I feel smaller than I actually am, but it's not too intense for me, because I still loved my body before I got my implants done. So I hope you still love your body before you decide to make this decision, and you just think it's like the cherry on top. It's gonna make it a little bit better, because again, body dysmorphia is real. And it is a very weird experience to go through, so I hope you don't have to go through it, but it's something to keep in mind. Now, as for the actual surgery, I think the biggest thing is I watched a lot of videos where people talked about how intense and painful and how hard the surgery was and the recovery was. And I kind of wish I didn't listen to that. Yes, I think you should be mentally prepared for the worst that can happen, but at the same time, I think you have to understand your own body and know that it might not be as intense as people make it out to be. Because for me, I probably had one of the easiest, best surgery experiences. I do think it was in part because I had a great surgeon. I put a lot of research into it. I think he's a really good guy. I think he did a really good job. I had a really supportive team afterwards. But at the same time, I also just think it was less of a painful experience for me than it is for other people. The only thing that was hard for me was getting out of anesthesia after the surgery. So waking up was very hard and it was a very trippy experience, but he did say that's common for people that are younger. I ended up bringing it up later and he's like, a lot of younger people have trouble getting out of anesthesia. But other than that, I wasn't nauseous. I wasn't really in pain at all. Like it was a little bit painful, but not much. It felt like recovering from a cold. Like I explained that in all my like vlog videos of it. I was like, this is nowhere near as intense as I thought it was gonna be. I feel like I'm just like more tired and need to take a nap like when I'm sick. So I also was able to like rotate my arms more. I was able to like touch my hair, like do all these things that people told me I couldn't. Like everyone said you're gonna need straws because you're not gonna be able to drink, and I could easily drink. I could easily rotate and move my arms like when other people said I couldn't. I actually had to remind myself to take it easy because I had to tell myself like don't overdo it on your body. Like your body just went through something very intense. I had to remind myself like calm down, take it easy, keep your arms down, keep it relaxed. And I didn't expect that because no one talked about that idea. Everyone talked about the opposite idea. Like it was gonna be super intense and painful and hard of an experience, and well, it wasn't. But that being said, even though I probably had the best, easiest experience when it came to the surgery and the pain afterwards and going through recovery, I still recommend getting orthopedic pillows. I actually have one next to me right here. This is just a piece of it. It's like a little cube. I got a set of them. I'll show the photo of what it looks like on Amazon. You can research and find a better deal. I think mine was like under $100 and it was the best decision I ever made. I couldn't imagine doing it, especially if I was in more pain than I was. I am a side sleeper, so unfortunately after surgery you cannot sleep on your side, you cannot sleep on your stomach, you have to sleep on your back, and I am not a back sleeper. I could not do it if my life depended on it. So the orthopedic pillows help you sleep on your back, and it also helps you sleep elevated because you also cannot sleep flat on your back. You have to be almost sleeping upright, and those orthopedic pillows were the best way to do it, like best money I have ever spent. Do not do the method where people say they just shove a bunch of pillows behind them. That doesn't really stay well together, and if you're not a back sleeper, it also doesn't keep you in that firm position. I'll roll over to my side, and those orthopedic pillows made it so I couldn't really roll to my side. There's actually one piece that went underneath your knee too. So I would say best investment ever, get it. It makes going through the recovery so much easier. It's worth the money. I still keep them around the apartment and like sit on them on chairs. Now, aside from the actual like surgery and the recovery right afterwards, the actual like recovery of my body didn't go as well or as smooth. Unfortunately, I did have a pretty big side effect that's actually very rare, and I didn't hear anyone talk about it, including my surgeon, ahead of time. So I want to tell you about it, not to freak you out or to worry you, but just to make you mentally prepared. Because like I said, I felt like I just wish I knew about it ahead of time so I could mentally prepare for the fact that it might happen, and that is stretch marks. So I feel like on camera they don't pick up very well, but they are all around my boob, and especially on the bottom on this side. Like I do have pretty intense stretch marks. If you want to watch the more detailed video, watch the Do I Regret This video. I show them in more detail, and I wasn't prepared for that. I was prepared for the idea that my stitches might show more. I'm very pale, like it's likely my stitches are going to be very noticeable, but I wasn't prepared for the idea of stretch marks. Like no one gave me a heads up on that, and unfortunately I did get them. I can go through this like laser treatment to basically hopefully make them go away to make my stitches less noticeable, but that's another $1,000. Like it's $500 a treatment. I have to do a minimum of 2 treatments. So that's $1,000 right there on top of the cost of my implants. And it's just like, I don't know if it's per se worth it. It is a lot of money. I may or might not do it. I'm still kind of debating about it, but I just wanted to give you a heads up that there is a possibility that you're gonna get stretch marks. It's a very rare side effect, but it is possible. And if you're pale like me, it's very noticeable, and it's just, again, something I wasn't mentally prepared for, and I'm still deciding what I am going to do about it. And then also wearing a bra. Like I knew that yes, you're supposed to wear a bra. Even non-implants, they say like you're supposed to wear a bra, but I actually don't believe in that, and I think there's a lot of science to support the idea of not wearing a bra. And I did a whole entire video on the past because I gave up bras. I hate bras, but now that I'm wearing implants, I do have to trust my surgeon in the idea that Implants are different than breast tissue, and you do have to support the implants, and so I do have to wear a bra all the time now, even to sleep, and it is something to get used to. I mostly just wear sports bras with no wiring, so I'm still supporting the girls, but I'm comfy, and I can still wear tank tops and feel like I'm not wearing a bra, and my nipples can show like I like them to. So most days I'm just in a sports bra, but when it comes to actually like working out, I have to wear very high support sports bras, and I recommend the ones from All in Motion, I think it's what it's called, from Target. I'll insert a listing of one of them. That's my favorite sports bra that's affordable, that's actually high support. Basically, there's a lot of support comparatively to a lot of sports bras, but it's only that specific style, and unfortunately it only comes in a few colors, but it's very high support. It's a lot more affordable than other sports bras, and that's what I would recommend because my surgeon did let me know most of my sports bras are nowhere near supportive enough for actual like working out and moving the girlies. So you need some high support sports bras and sports bras that you want to sleep in. And obviously regular bras too, because you're gonna have a new size. But all that blabbering aside, I hope you learned something from this video, and it's just kind of my own personal experience with it, and I don't regret it at all. I just think the biggest thing is make sure you are knowledgeable on the possibilities of what the results are gonna be like and what the whole experience of going through surgery and recovery is gonna be, so nothing is unexpected or surprising to you. You're prepared for it, but you're also not overthinking or over worrying about it for no reason. Because I definitely think the process was a lot easier than I expected. It was a lot less painful. It was a lot less intense. It reminded me of getting over a cold. But either way, if you want to watch the whole entire experience, the vlogs, all the other information I've talked about, all these girlies in more detail, because I was very showy with everything. I blurred my nipples, but I did show a lot of details that other people didn't. So if you want to watch that again, check out down below, and I will see you guys next Wednesday for another video. And I hope you have a great rest of your morning, evening, night, whatever it is for you. I'll see you Wednesday.